Hello everyone and welcome to TTG's webinar with the Malta Tourism Authority. I'm Maddie Barber, Special Projects Editor at TTG Media. I'm joined today by Peter Green, who is the Trade Trainer for the Malta Tourism Authority. So thank you for joining us today, Peter.
No, it's quite right. Thanks for having me, and obviously thanks for this opportunity to come aboard and speak about all things Malta.
Absolutely. So during this webinar today, we're going to be talking about the current COVID-19 situation in Malta, including the entry requirements. We're going to be covering how the Malta Tourism Authority is supporting agents as travel opens up again. Peter is going to be giving you a short training presentation on selling to the over 50s. We will also be covering new product and accommodation launches, what Malta has to offer the luxury market, and also the Tourist Board's marketing plans for the rest of the year. So we've got quite a broad scope there. So yes, I'm going to kick off by asking about pandemic. Obviously, it's been a long year. What is the current COVID-19 situation in Malta? Do you think the pandemic is being managed effectively on the islands, and how is it being managed?
Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious place to start, isn't it? It's the hot topic on everybody's mind. So, yeah, I mean, as it stands, Malta is actually one of the leading countries in Europe for vaccination rates and uptake, second only to the UK. Over half of the population on the island has received their first dose, and within that, nearly a fifth of the overall population has received their second doses as well. So it's a really fantastic uptake in there. We've got 90% of the vulnerable people have received at least one dose, which is also a true testament to the fabulous work of the healthcare professionals out on the island. And the current rollout progress is now at the stage of inviting the over 50s to book their appointments. So it's very similar to kind of like how we see the progression going on here in the UK. So at this current rate, we actually forecast that potentially all of the adult population will be vaccinated with at least one dose within the next 10 weeks. But obviously that's barring any external impacts or outside influences as well. So really, really good, strong performance. And actually, they've already bought in all their vaccinations to do all their population with both doses. So it's not a case of, any supply issues or anything either. They have everything in place to sort that all out for the whole population.
Okay, great. And I know on ttgmedia.com, we've recently announced that Malta will accept UK tourists from the 1st of June, which is fantastic news.
Yes.
What are the current entry requirements for UK travellers?
So at the moment, the way that it's planned is the government has implemented a very similar traffic light system, which seems to be kind of the adopted approach across most governments. And even now, I think even some of the TOs are kind of doing like traffic light systems for their terms and conditions and things, which is it seems to be the kind of uniformed way of kind of doing things. So, but specifically for Malta, what we've got countries that are on the red list. Only vaccinated tourists can travel, and this is those that have had both vaccination doses or one dose in the case of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, and they have to have had this at least 14 days before arrival as a minimum. You've then got the amber list, which allows vaccinated travelers to visit the island as long as above they've been fully vaccinated within 14 days of arrival. And for those that haven't been or cannot be vaccinated for a number of reasons, then a negative PCR test is required no earlier than 72 hours before arrival, and this also includes children as well. And then the green list is currently being finalized, so more details will be available when the countries that are eligible to be on that list are defined and decided upon. So once we have more news of that, then obviously we will put that out to the market.
Okay, great. And the large majority of viewers for this webinar are going to be travel agents. So I just wanted to ask how the Malta Tourism Authority is planning to support these agents as travel opens up again. I mean, you're offering extra training opportunities or competitions incentives. I mean, the days of fam trips seem long ago now, but are you considering hosting any fam trips in this year?
Yeah, I mean, we might be. I'll come on to that in just a second. So, I mean, the first port of call for agents is going to be we've got our fabulous Malta training portal where they can find a range of courses designed to aid them in destination awareness and increase their knowledge of the wide array of touristic offerings that there are on the island. Some of the courses include families course, we've got a scuba diving course, we've got a cities break course, alongside we've also got demographic courses such as our under 30s and our LGBT plus courses. We've also got a reopening course, which, in light of the recent news surrounding the restart travel, agents can find all the entry requirements to the Maltese archipelago, which we've just discussed, and also some reassuring information for them and their customers whilst they're in resort. And then, yeah, we've also got our brand new over 50s course, which we'll also probably discuss a little bit later on. But if agents complete that by the 14th of May, then they can be in the chance to win one of 10 gastronomy themed goodie bags, which includes like Maltese honey, we've got Maltese cheeses, liqueurs, we've got oils, so much more in there. And it really gives them like an essence of the amazing culinary scene of the island, which I'll come on to a little bit later on as part of the presentation. And we do have a fan trip planned later this year. We are currently putting it together just now. Some of the places have actually already been filled, and some of the lucky winners have already been contacted, and there will be more chances to win a place coming very soon, but I can't give too much away just yet, obviously. But it is really shaping up to be a fabulous trip, and there's so many unique experiences in there that, you know, is really going to wow the attendees. And then lastly, alongside this, agents now have myself as a focal point. You know, I am only in the role a couple of months, but you know, I was an agent. I used to work at Thomas Cook Retail, so I kind of know what they go through, and certainly, you know, over the last 14 months, I can't even begin to imagine what it's been like for them. So, you know, if they have any questions or queries, they can reach out to me, and I'll be more than glad to help where I can. You know, for those that are looking for training sessions, either in their shops or their areas, I'm happy to curate everything for them, and I can come out and do that as and when they please, or I can do it virtually as well. And this can be from, you know, the basics, you know, certainly like general information, to the more in-depth and in-detailed content tailored to their needs. And yeah, I'll also be out on the road as soon as it allows. So you know, we'll be attending events and presenting all that Malta has to offer. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some friendly and new faces when we can all get together as well.
Yeah, no, it's great they've got you as a new contact, and congratulations on the new role.
No, thanks. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's a wonderful team. It's really good. And yeah, it's something that I've kind of always wanted to do. You know, I've been to Malta a few times personally. I used to look after Malta as a product when I worked at Thomas Cook head office. So I've kind of always had that natural affirmation and knowledge of the destination. So yeah, when this opportunity came up, I couldn't pass it up in any way, shape, or form.
Great. Okay, so I think it's almost time to move on to your presentation that you got, and I know that it's focused on selling to the over 50s. And why did you decide to give it that focus?
So we have, as I say, we've already mentioned that we've designed this over 50s course, and this presentation is kind of a small taster of some of the content of this course. And the reason we've done this is due to the fact that we foresee that one of the first to travel are probably going to be the over 50s market. They're going to be the ones that have the flexibility to book reactively to, you know, UK government announcements. Also, they'll be the ones in the who will have had their vaccinations or both vaccinations by the 1st of June. And alongside that, you know, you've obviously got the warm temperatures of June, which will be a huge pull for them without it being too hot that we usually see in the middle of the summer. And, you know, the strong British ties that the island have will be an additional bonus to certainly the over 50s. They'll be able to feel safe and comfortable in a semi-familiar environment. But in contrast to that, they will be able to feel free again. They'll have this feeling of sense of nostalgia, and they'll feel confident in staying longer in the destination as well, and getting out and exploring the hustle, you know, the hustle and bustle of the islands and away from the tourist areas as well. So yeah, we've kind of curated this purely on this is going to be one of the target markets we think to restart travel.
Okay, great. So yeah, please do go ahead and show your training presentation.
Perfect, thank you. So again, thank you everyone for joining, you know, depending on when you're catching up on this, whether it be morning, afternoon, or evening. And I just wanted to take a chance to discuss all this with you. So Malta as a country has a really strong affinity with British tourists due to this kind of melting pot of cultures and histories that shaped in part by the fact that it's an ex-British colony for nearly 200 years. And in a year where we've seen this massive global tourism decline, as I discussed, we forecast that one of the first demographics back are going to be these over 50s market. And this is down to the conditions set by the local government surrounding entry requirements to both Malta and back into the UK. So some of the key points that I will be discussing here today is going to be, you know, why travel to Malta, where your customers can stay, where they can get out and about as well. A little bit about our blossoming gastronomy scene, which is really exciting at the moment, and how tourists can also immerse themselves really into the local culture. So Malta as a destination has a fascinating array of history. And as I said, this really unique melting pot of cultures that make it a true one-stop shop for all varieties of tourists. Habitation of the island can be traced back nearly 8,000 years. And over time, there's been great empires such as the Romans, the Phoenicians, the Normans, and the British, who have all come to call Malta home. And not forgetting the Knights of St. John, who left the largest imprint on the island. Your customers can marvel in the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Valletta, home to over 320 attractions and a myriad of fine dining opportunities, street cafes, stunning viewpoints, and cultural hotspots. And no matter what time of year, there's always something going on, not just in Valletta, but throughout the whole archipelago. From music concerts, festivals to vintage car rallies, or the grand celebrations of Easter, Carnival, and Christmas, there is literally something always going on. And as an all year round destination, Malta enjoys hot summers, you've got the warm shoulder seasons, and even your mild winters, with which each season brings its own prospects and opportunities. Menus around the island are curated based on the seasonal produce of fruits and vegetables, oils and cheeses, while enjoying some more active adventures change from season to season. Walking and hiking are popular in the spring and autumn, while scuba diving, which Malta is consistently voted #1 destination in Europe, is actually better enjoyed post-summer following the warming of the seas. And whilst Malta is not traditionally known as a beach destination, especially when you compare it to the likes of maybe the Algarve or your costas of Spain, this small country certainly holds its own with an abundance of man-made bays, perched beaches, and golden sands, the latter of which can be found in the north of the island and on Gozo as well. So you've got Melea Bay, which is the largest blue flag beach of Malta, next to the tranquil town of Melea, with some lovely family-friendly hotels that are basically beachfront. We've got Ramla Bay, which is one of the most photographed beaches of Malta, found on the north side of Gozo, with a wide stretch of red sand. We've also got the Blue Lagoon, which is one of the most visited beaches and swimming points in the island. So, it does get incredibly busy during the summer months. So certainly, that June period when hopefully everything restarts, it will be a little bit quieter. But one of the pro tips I can give you is to get one of the first boats out in the morning to ensure a peaceful morning amongst the emerald clear waters. And there are a number of places to stay around the island as well, varying in their appeal and draw factor, ranging from the hustle and bustle of the cities to your quaint villages and unspoiled landscapes. So as I've already mentioned, you've got Valletta, which is home to luxury and boutique hotels, vibrant cafe culture and over 320 attractions. We've got Sliema and St. Julian's, where quaint townhouses give way to the seafront promenades, and you've got elegant restaurants with its quirky little back streets, and even from there you can still get over to Valletta as well. So it's really nice in terms of having that access to the capital while not being in the middle of it. We've also got Bujuba and Aura, which is a little bit further up north, which has got this sweeping seafront promenade, and it's nice and flat, so it's easy for the customers to navigate their way around. It's got beautiful civic squares with, again, a myriad of bars and restaurants for them to get out and about and enjoy the cuisine that's there. And there's also some attractions within there, including the vintage car museum. So really, really good option up there. And it's also got, again, a perched beach, so they can enjoy a little bit of relaxation time as well. And we've already touched on Melea up in the north. Now, Melea, again, is a beautifully small, sort of untouristic town. You can really immerse yourself with the locals, sit down and share tales and swap stories with them and learn about the Maltese heritage of the islands. And again, from there, you can access the walking trails up in the north, including the watchtowers that are all scattered along the northern coast, or you can get over onto the west coast for these dramatic cliff top walks as well. Really, really beautiful area to stay in. And then we've also got Gozo, which a lot of people say is like stepping back in time. It's kind of like how it was before the tourism came to the island. And you've got these unspoilt landscapes and countryside is where you find the vineyards, which is home to the famous Gozo wine. And we also have an abundance of villas and farmhouses that you can stay on in Gozo. So really unique traditional experience for those that maybe don't want to try the kind of hotel stay. So as already mentioned, there is an abundance of activities that certainly even the over 50s can enjoy as well. And what you can see on the screen here is not an exhaustive list. Scuba diving, which I'll touch on in a second, is still one of the top activities, and it's actually really good for the joints in your muscles. So it's really good to get out and has really good health benefits. You've got snorkeling for those that don't want to go beneath the waves, but rather on top of it. Horseback riding, boat tours that can take you all around the island. Either going around the whole of the 3 islands or just over to Gozo or even over to the small island of Camino. You've got your cultural workshops that you can do, including cheese making. Again, we've got these vineyard tours, which we'll touch on in a little bit as well. You've got your museums, you've got museums of fine arts, you've got the St. John's Pole Cathedral, you've got your modern art museums as well for those that are into that kind of aspect. And then you've got your historical aspects. So you've got 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which is your Hal Safani Hypogeum, and you've also got the Neolithic temples, including the Gigantia temples and the Tarxian temples as well. So there is absolutely tons of things that they can do if they want to get out and about and away from their resorts. And I wouldn't be doing my job correctly if I did not describe diving in Malta. It is a professional and personal opinion. I learned to dive in Malta, and it's still one of the best places that I've ever dived in the entire world. But Malta is consistently voted the #1 dive site in Europe and the #2 in the entire world. And from this, you've got the easy options, which is kind of your reef diving, where you can explore the reefs and enjoy the octopi and the scorpion fish that you can find there. But there's also the more advanced wreck diving as well. So for those that are interested in history, there are sunken tugboats or sunken World War II planes that they can navigate, and it is a really unique experience that can really only be done in Malta. So certainly something for those that are maybe a little bit more active as well. And Malta as a destination has flourished over the past few years on the gastronomy scene, and this has been recognized internationally. The Michelin Guide of 2020 recognized 3 restaurants in Malta and awarded them the prestigious Michelin star accolade. And just even in the past couple of weeks, the 2021 guide added a further 2 one-star restaurants to the list. And as I've said, Malta's cuisine is dictated by the seasonality of the island. But alongside this, Malta's rich history and cultural blend has created this fusion of Italian, North African, and typically Mediterranean dishes, which are synonymous with the island's heritage. Diners will be enthralled by the eclectic menus available, and even the most refined palates will savor the kind of unique aromas and tastes and delights that the chefs have to offer on the island. And what's more, to accompany any meal, patrons can relish in the opportunity to try Maltese wine. We've already touched on the fact that they can visit the vineyards of Gozo, but you've got the traditional varieties such as Merlot and Sauvignon, which are actually made on the island, but you've also got these indigenous collections of Gargantina and Galuza. And Malta's unique geological composition allows for a truly distinctive flavor within these. And because such a little amount of Maltese wine is exported to the international markets, it really is something that your customers can only try in Malta. So as we've said, for those budding sommeliers, head over to Gozo, try and tour one of the local vineyards, learn about the traditions, about how the wine's made. And, if you're lucky enough, you might get sat down for a little tasting session accompanied by some local delicacies as well. And one of the greatest aspects of the Maltese culture is the warmth and hospitality that they extend to the visitors of the island. This is reflected in their liberal views towards the LGBT community, with Malta being voted the #1 destination on the Rainbow Index for the past 5 years. For tourists that want to get out and about and explore as well, you can head to the small villages around the island and really immerse yourself in the local culture, regaling in the tales of the locals. And one of the best ways to do this throughout the year, each village hosts its own festa, which is a celebration of traditions, local arts, crafts, music, and food. And tourists are more than welcome at these events as well. And the Maltese will welcome you with open arms. They'll share stories with you. They'll, not literally share their drinks, but you can share a drink with them and toast to them. And it's a great way to feel at home whilst you're actually on holiday. And it's a fabulous way to relax within the natural environment of the islands, making for a truly immersive and unforgettable experience. So I've touched on a few kind of main points about this, but for more details, as I say, we do have our over 50s course, which is on our fabulous training portal, which is maltatraining.com. You can see the link for it here. And as I've said, for those that do complete this course by the 14th of May, you will be in a chance to win one of those 10 gastronomy goodie bags. So really jump on board, go through the content and really enjoy it and learn about everything that the islands have to offer, and you can get something out of this as well. And I'm just going to finish up here with a short video, just highlighting some of the key points that we've already touched upon, and hopefully get you dreaming of getting your customers out to Malta. Thanks for taking the time to watch that. My details are on the screen there. So again, I've already touched on, but if there is anything that you need or want from me, if you want to get in touch, if you have any questions, queries, please do drop me an email. I'm always reachable by phone as well. So pick up the phone, give me a call, and I'll be happy to help in any way that I can. And thanks for watching.
Great, thanks so much, Peter. I mean, I'm not quite over 50, but you've definitely convinced me to move Malta to the top of my holiday wish list.
There's literally something for everyone. Like, I know I've obviously talked about potentially part of the over 50s market, but even some of those things are, cross generational. Even I think one of the biggest trends is going to be things like bubble holidays. So it'll be, potentially the over 50s going along with their children and grandchildren. And even some of the stuff that I've touched on there is something that stretches across all the generations. So, by all means, don't take it away that it's just a retiree destination. It has literally got something for everyone. And I think one of the most difficult things in my job is trying to fit everything that there is to offer in such like a small space of time or into one presentation. I could literally talk for hours on the things available.
Yeah, I can imagine. It looks like a great place to visit. And if, for clients that do want to visit Malta, what would be the best time of year to visit?
That's a really difficult one to answer. I mean, it's difficult in the sense that, Malta is a year-round destination. I think some people just think of it as it's just a summer one, but again, as we've touched on, the menus are dictated by the season. So there's something to try differently every single time that you go out there. If you go out, whether it be the spring, the summer, the autumn, or the winter, there's festivals or there's events always ongoing throughout the whole entire year. There's carnival, there's the fireworks festival that happens in April, so that's your spring seasons. Spring and autumn are an ideal time again for hiking and walking because you're away from the hot sun weather. So if you're interested in doing that, then you go those times. Even during the winter, Christmas is a huge celebration as well, being a highly religious island. So people come out to do these things, and really revel in the atmosphere of the Christmas time while there. And obviously, even during the winter, it's still mild as well. We're still in our teens in terms of temperatures, so still really pleasant during the day. So that really there isn't a best time of year because you can come all year round. But it just really depends on what your customers want to do. If they're wanting the sun and they just want to, chill out and take it easy and get a tan, then they can do the summer months. But if they want to get out and about and explore, then potentially the shoulder seasons would be a little bit better for them because you're away from the hot temperatures. And if they want to come at a time where it's really less busy and really soak up the local culture, then, even your winter time would be perfect to come as well.
Okay, great. And how long do you think how long should visitors spend in Malta to, soak up all these attractions and see all that Malta has to offer? Like, what's the kind of duration of a holiday that you would recommend for agents' clients?
Oh, great. So again, it's going to come down to the customers, but Valletta itself is a beautiful city break. There's plenty to do for them in sort of 2 to 3 days if they just wanted to stay within a kind of city break option. If you wanted to go a little bit longer, you can obviously then extend your stay and move up into some of the resorts where you've got plenty of activities to get on with as well. But I think one of the great things about Malta is, given the size of the island, even if you are based in Valletta or if you're based in St. Julian or Salema or you're based in one of these, you can still go and see all other parts of the island in relatively a short space of time. So, for example, if you're staying up in Melea in the north, you can be down in Valletta in the better part of an hour, and you can really fit in as much as you kind of want to do in the time that you're there. So, personally, I would recommend potentially doing somewhere like a week to 10 days. That way you could spend, maybe 4 or 5 days exploring the main island of maybe somewhere like Malta, taking in the sights of Valletta, taking in the sights of the old capital of Medina, or heading down to the quaint fishing villages of the south. And then also that would give you a couple of days if you wanted that you can go over to the island of Gozo. It's only a 25-minute ferry over, which is nice and easy. And you can even, again, stay in one of those villas or farmhouses that I've mentioned, and soak up a kind of real traditional kind of ambiance while you're there, see some of the sights of the island, and then come back over and fly back down. So yeah, somewhere in the realms of that. But again, we've got enough packed into the island that even if you stayed for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I mean, I know some people that even go out there for a couple of months at a time, especially during those kind of autumn and winter periods, and they still have lots to do while they're there.
Okay, great. And I know some customers are going to have more money to spend than other customers. What does Malta have to offer the luxury market? Kind of what are the high-end highlights of the destination?
Um, I mean, within the luxury market, there's still an abundance of touristic offerings. First is the hotels that are available. I think we'll come on to some of them in just a second as well. But within some of the areas such as Valletta, St. Julian's, even up in Gozo, there's a number of 5-star properties, including your chains such as like your Westin, your Kempinski's, Radisson's, Corinthia's. But there's also kind of Renaissance in terms of the old palazzos, which were all the old state homes that were built kind of around the the 15th, 16th, 17th century. And a lot of these have actually been turned into boutique luxury hotels, which offer smaller room numbers. Some of them anywhere between kind of 8 to 20 rooms, but they give you such a much more intimate experience because it's kind of like staying in a home at the same time in this beautiful stately manner, which it still has quite often its old original brickwork and the old original railings that you can walk around, and a lot of them have the rooftop terraces which overlook the skyline. It's really, really beautiful and really picturesque. And then touching on some of the experiences within Malta, there's a number of DMCs who can organize, unique luxury encounters such as private catamaran sailings around the islands to private guided tours to some of these exclusive homes and residences of such as Maltese nobility. So especially for those that are looking into delving into the past of the Knights of St. John, that could be a real draw factor. And then alongside this, coming back to Maltese cuisine, you could look at doing private and personalized cooking classes, or those vineyard tours that we've discussed, or attending some of the food festivals of the island. And all these can be catered for on a private based experience. So for those that, do want to spend a little bit more and have that kind of unique experiences, they are there for them too.
Okay, great. And then you mentioned some accommodation options and tour operators there. But are there any kind of new product launches in that kind of area that would be really good for agents to have on their radar this year?
Yeah, I mean, even just for 2021, there's an abundance of things that are coming in. So we've got a new luxury hotel, which is called the Iniala Harbour House, which is actually across from Valletta's Grand Harbour. So it's a boutique property. I think it's got like 23 odd rooms, and also they've got suites in the ancient vaults below it, which is really beautiful. There's a Hyatt Regency that's coming in, so that's going to be a new premier resort, which is kind of like a blend of modern living with the history that's kind of surrounding it. It's a bit bigger. It's kind of like that. I think it's about 150 odd rooms, but it's got a rooftop pool and it's got wellness center and spas, etc. for those that want to relax. There's a renovation of the Malta Marriott. So I think that's about 25 or 30 million renovation that's gone on that. So this has been upgraded. It's got 5 restaurants, 3 bars. It's got a signature dining venue, indoor and outdoor pool. Again, we've got that spa and fitness centers for them. And yeah, I mean, coming away from the hotels, you've also got, for example, down in the south, there's a beautiful little village called Marshallock, which is undergoing a sort of 5 million euro regeneration project. So this quaint fishing village will, kind of improve its infrastructure and aesthetic of the area. There's going to be new pedestrianized areas, as well as modern facilities across the harbour front. So it'll be really nice for people to wander through there, which is really, really good option. And even again within that, some of the family homes, the Casa Roca Piccola, which is actually one of the oldest family-owned kind of like homes there, which used to be a museum. You can now actually stay in it as part of an exclusive B&B experience. So they've opened up 50 rooms, and you can learn about the customs and traditions of Maltese nobility. So really, really spectacular kind of option for those that kind of want to, immerse themselves again within that culture.
Cool. And as far as the Malta Tourism Authority goes, what are kind of your marketing plans or strategies for the rest of this year? What are you going to be focusing on?
So we kind of have this plan of focusing on 3 key pillars, and it's 3 kind of I would say maybe demographics. So the first one that we've got is your sun and culture lovers. Now I should mention that within these 3, and within the sun and culture lovers, that includes your families, that includes your couples, includes your LGBTs, friends, groups of travelers, etc. So these aren't definitive. But the sun and culture lovers, they want to get out, they want to explore a little bit of maybe the main sites while absorbing the warmth of the good weather. So we're going to kind of focus on them a little bit. We've then also got your adventure seekers. So these are the people that want to get out about. They want to try all the activities of the island. So from your scuba diving, your mountain biking, your hiking, to your horseback riding, your your kind of high adrenaline activities such as ziplining, to even the soft adrenaline activities. So those that just want to get out and explore maybe the old cities or the fishing villages, those that really have this kind of tale of adventure to them. And then the last one that we're kind of focusing on is the slow explorers. So slower explorers are those that want to stay a little bit longer in destination, maybe potentially extend their stay for maybe a week to 2 weeks, potentially 3 weeks. They don't want to stay in the main touristic resorts. They want to get out. They want to see what it's like living as a local. They want to put back into the local economies. They want to try and sample local food. And by focusing especially on this last one, which is probably the most important in terms of restarting the local economy for the host destination, that's going to be really, really important for us. So that's one of our key focuses. But encompassing these all 3 together, these are going to be the core demographics. And certainly for those that have maybe tuned into some of the other webinars that I've talked on, I have touched on these bits, and they will be a focal point kind of going forward as well for myself.
Okay, great. And we're just about to run out of time, but just quickly, is there anything else that agents should know about Malta or travel to Malta or selling Malta at the moment?
I think it's just the big one of, that it's a fabulous recommendation. I think it's one that kind of goes under the radar. And I mean, I even know for myself that I would surprise people when I worked in retail, and people would be like, oh, I don't know where to go. And I'd be like, I thought about Malta. And they'd be like, where is Neve? Where is it? They hadn't even thought of it, hadn't considered it. And then when you start talking about all the experiences that can be done, people fall in love with it. And I know from the trips I've run in the past, people have this kind of stigma or this representation that it's a retiree destination. But certainly there is a small market that does exist, but the archipelago itself has so much more to offer than that. Speaking from my own experiences, there's music festivals for the young and lively market. There's a budding street art scene. We're seeing lots of music producers coming out of Malta now. Within that, we've touched on the gastronomy scene. So for those foodies and those couples that really love their food, we can see those multi-generational bubbles that we think are going to be one of the key trends. Again, there's literally something for all parts of those families, depending on what it is they're looking for. So I think it's just a case of, give Malta a shot, have a little look and see, and I think you'll be surprised. And if there is any inspiration that you need, you can come to me and I will help you out on that front.
Great. Thanks very much, Peter. It's been great having you on today and hearing all about Malta and everything it has to offer. It's really exciting.
No, it's perfect. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Great. And thank you to everyone for watching as well. You can check out the Training Hub on tcgmedia.com for more educational content from our partners. And thanks again. Take care. Bye-bye.